Guys, what's going on? This is the Punisher's Paintball YouTube channel. My name is Media Guy Doug. This is Daddy Joel. Today we're going to be talking about how to join a paintball team. Local, big time, whatever you want. We're going to talk about our best recommendations to get on a team and get out there and get playing. So if you like this video, make sure you like, subscribe to the channel, go ahead and leave us a comment if you have some other creative ideas that we might have missed, and we'll catch you after the intro. Alright guys, so there's a lot of layers to this, and getting into it to start off can kind of feel like a mountain. It can kind of feel like maybe an impossible task. It's not. You can do it. I believe in you. There's some things that kind of have to happen in an order I might recommend just to make sure you're following the right steps and not screwing yourself over. So, to get it started, you are going to want to have gear and skills at a place where it's not an issue when you get to the field. What that means is you're going to want to have a mask that is your own, a hopper that is your own and is electronic, an electronic marker, and an HPA carbon fiber tank for that setup. That is just your basic setup. That way it won't stand out. You're not going to look like someone that maybe a paintball team doesn't want to approach, because there is a look that new people who don't know what they're doing kind of have, and you are trying to avoid that. You don't know what you're doing. That's why you're watching this video, but you don't want them to know that. This is our secret. We won't tell. I promise we won't tell. But yeah, so these are the basic things you're going to need just equipment-wise to get on the field. I'd recommend a pod pack as well. It's a pretty telltale sign also, among other soft goods, but not worth it for this video. But you're going to want to start off with those things as far as your physical gear, and then as far as skill sets, running and gunning, snap shooting, okay, also laning as well, and just working on your field awareness and your what's called paintball IQ, which really those things can only be developed by playing. IQ you can kind of work on by watching some videos, watching pro footage, things like that. I also really like finding other YouTube channels like this one or others that have some first person footage. I learned a lot by watching a couple people out there that put a GoPro on their gun or in their mask. Very, very useful.
BKI has a good, you can subscribe to BKI Paintball, and they'll give you a good breakdown of different drills that you can do.
Huge.
As well as, kind of walk through stuff. So anytime that you guys can get advice from people that have been there, obviously just in general in life, but specifically with this, it's always good. So anytime that you're playing and you can get some critiques from, higher divisional paintball players, that's going to be huge as far as like, did I do this right and everything else like that. But Doug brings up all the important things, guys, and specifically with your paintball gear, you're going to want to be able to shoot NXL ramping, because the vast majority of paintball events are going to be NXL ramping, which is 10 balls a second. And so you're going to want a reliable electronic paintball loader, electronic paintball marker that are going to be able to fire consistently at 10 balls a second, so that gear's not a situation. And you're probably looking at, what would you say, Doug, to get yourself probably $700-800 at least?
Gun tank and hopper, he's going conservative because he doesn't want to scare you away. I want you to know what you're getting yourself into. Assume like $1,000. After all said and done, shipping, taxes, whatever.
Mask. And
that's it. I didn't even count in mask and like a pod pack, like anything like that. The initial investment to get in is high, and then really to kind of like to go off of that as well. Once you get into practicing with a team, there's some costs that are going to come with that. Tournaments are going to have a cost as well. I'm trying to stick to. We really did a good job working this out in a good sequence for you guys.
We'll get to the cost there.
I definitely don't want to jump the gun. So now you understand some of the skill sets that you'll need, and then some of the gear that you'll need. Let's jump into how do you actually get people to play with you. Because really, first, it's going to be that you're going to go to your local field. You're going to use your resources to find said field, be Google, Facebook, Reddit. Joel suggested as well. It's still got a good paintball presence. That's how you're going to find a field near you, and specifically one that has tournament play or speedball or airball or X-ball. These are all nicknames for it that you'll hear. So you're looking for a field that does tourney ball, whatever it is. Once you find that, if you're lucky, you might have a couple near you. It's a pretty average drive distance that people might go anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour and a half just to get to their nearest field, and especially one that has good competition. So don't be afraid of that drive. There's probably other people there that are doing it as well. But as far as when you get there, how to actually get on and play with people, teams will be running points. They're going to run points all day, all night, till the end of time. But what's going to happen is you're going to have some teams that are kind of throwing together. Maybe they're new, they're missing somebody that day. And before they go to play, they're going to say, hey, we need one. What you need to do is be standing by the net, ready to go, with your paint on your back, everything ready to rock, and I'll be the one, and you go fill in, okay? It's going to be weird. You're playing with people that you don't know. Might even
and
be
make
a
sure
little
you make
uncomfortable.
friends.
Yeah, make friends, be cool.
Have fun with it.
That's half of it, is like if people like you, they'll work with you on playing with you. But when you do get on the field, if you're in that situation, be ready to perform. Be aware, you're looking for things, you're not getting shot stupid, anything like that, because your performance there, first impressions matter. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's
Absolutely.
tough because you're going from 0 to 100, and unfortunately that's just kind of the learning curve until you get a squad of people to grind with.
Yeah.
That's going to be the toughest part. But if you show up and you're cool and you tell people like, hey, what's up? I haven't been here before, I'm looking to play. You will whittle your way down to finding the people that want somebody new or that want that new person. So
I think, I've run, a paintball program for 4 or 5 years now.
Same.
And I think the biggest thing that I found when it comes to running a successful paintball program is having players that are open to constructive criticism. And I think going off of Doug's point when it comes to being able to perform, you also need to be racking people's brains on, hey, I did this, would that be a move that you would have made, or should I have stayed? What could I have done differently? And being open to trying to get better is huge in any sport, but specifically in paintball because it's not as organized as other sports,
right,
where you've got like a designated coach. There is a general way of how to play this sport, but it's hard to understand that without having somebody explain it to you. You can watch pro paintball footage and try and understand what they're doing, but until somebody explains it to you, it's kind of difficult. So make sure that you guys are also, when you guys are jumping on with these teams, asking them, hey, like, how did I do? What could I have done better? Because say your interview goes bad that time, it's not the end of the world. You are going to probably get another shot with them or with another team. That time you're going to want to understand, like, all right, I did this and it looked bad and it was dumb. Next time I'm not going to do that, and I'm going to try and improve on, my mistakes from last time.
And as long as you're showing that you can take that criticism and do something different the next point, that speaks absolute volumes, which is great. Now, furthering this on as far as getting on a team, let's say you get out there for a month or two, even every other weekend, and you get to play with people, whatever, still haven't quite found a team. You might have a couple regular guys that you run with, whatever. End of the season rolls around, people aren't playing for a little bit, and then there's tryouts that pop up. I've seen tryouts as early as December, and I've even done tryouts in February because the season tends to start around March. So anywhere in that range is when you're going to be looking at a tryout window. Keep your eyes out there. Get into the Facebook groups for your local field. That is more often than not where you will see any postings or ads for tryouts and stuff like that. There's even Julian, I wonder if we could drop in the description some links to like some of the bigger BST pages on Facebook, because you can just request to join, and then from there you can start to talk to people as well. But just check out the links later if I did it. But so you're going to want to look out for tryouts, and really that's going to be your best case. That'll be a little more organized. We're like, okay, we're going to run a section of snap shooting. We're going to run a section of running and gunning. Then they might run some scenario like 2-on-3. That'll be your best bet to actually join a team. As long as you succeed that day, you'll be safe for at least an event or two. I doubt a team would straight up just say like you're done. But you never know. But that's a really good way to start getting into it. But what you're really going to want to know going into actually getting on a team and having to play consistently is more of the rolling costs associated with it.
Hang on. Let me stop you because I got a really good tip. The other thing to consider, guys, is there's a website out there called pbleagues.com.
Yes.
You can go on there and find regional events that are local to where you live in the United States and try and get an idea of which regional events have a large team list. So like, for example, here in Ohio, the Mid-South X-Ball League is one of the biggest, as well as the Mid-American X-Ball League in Indiana is large as well. They're going to give you a list of all the different teams, and you can actually click on those teams' roster pages and go, all right, where are these people out of? And most of the time, it will also give you the home field that they play at, and sometimes it's accurate, sometimes it's not, but you're going to get a general idea of, all right, is this guy 3 states away from me, or is this team part of my local crew that I didn't even know? So if you guys want to do some research ahead of time, that's one way of doing it that you can pull up right now as we're talking and go, okay, this event is held in Indiana and I live in Ohio, and I can go there. So pbleagues.com is a really good resource.
All the resources will be down
for
below.
Asian groups.
So free agent groups are huge. My own cousin got to play NXL because of free agent groups, which is huge. So
Free agent groups are on Facebook, as well as there's actually...
There is a free agent registry on PB Leagues as well, right?
Yes, correct. So you can put yourself in there, and there are free agent groups. If you want to play an NXL event, which is the largest, the national, there's free agent teams of people that couldn't find teams that you can play on those and start networking and try and meet some new people and hopefully find a team that way.
And just to put some names out there for ones that I know of, an older one was Free Parking. Not sure if that's still a thing, but there's also Freelancers. They are an organization of kind of the throw together thing. So that's just to get you started. Go look for Freelancers because they are still active and doing events in the NXL. Next up,
let's talk about cost.
Rolling costs. So if you're doing it right,
you guys have to be financially stable in order to play this sport competitively.
Yes,
this flat out.
If you stick along with this channel, you will follow Doug's journey of employment, and I have to go in and out of periods of playing consistently. Now, I've played long enough that like my skill set is there. I'm like, it's more like the sharpness of the sword that'll start to go if I don't play for a while, but my basic skill sets are there. But if you're just starting out, the best thing you can do is be able to play as consistently as possible for as long as you can. So
we're talking about practice, man.
Get your money up. Talking about practice?
We're talking about practice.
We're talking about practice.
So how much are you going to spend in a weekend? Teams that don't play as much or maybe like do shorter practices, whatever, you're going to spend at least that $40 to $50 to buy a case. But on the average, a team that's doing well, that's really getting their practice time in, you're going to buy probably up to 2 cases. Some teams might even do a pool,
2 to 3,
like 2 to 3, something like that. It depends. They might just buy a certain number of cases that they split amongst everybody. You might be in for close to $100, if not more, every weekend for practice. So you got to think about it. It's $400 to $500 a month, depending on how many weeks are in that month. It's a lot. That's just for practice. So not to mention gas to get there. If you break something, need to buy
You're terrifying
product.
people, Doug.
I know, man. Hey, but listen, this is how you get people that are going to come into the sport and stay. And it's worth it. You make lifelong friends. You end up in people's weddings. You get to meet Joel and hang out with him. But then events. Events. That is going to really, the cost of that is
real quick, on practice. Sorry. There are going to be weekends where your team takes off. So keep in mind, like, I would average 2 to 3 weekends is good. If you're financially good and that's not a problem, then it's not an issue and you want to go out and just play by yourself even though your team's not there, then go for it.
That's up to you.
From an open play perspective. But very rare do I find X-Ball teams out there that are playing every single weekend. Most of the time it's the higher divisional teams.
Right.
And you are going to find, like, if you're a super committed person, like we had a guy that came from being a triathlete this summer that came into our store and joined our team for a little bit and then branched off and did his thing. And he's coming from being a triathlete, right, which takes a ton of discipline and commitment. Mm-hmm. That guy's out there every weekend, So there is that, but don't veer away from potentially joining the sport or being a competitive paintball player if you can't make all 4. If you can make 2 to 3, you're probably still safe.
And that's a me problem too, because when I am financially set, I'm there pretty much every weekend.
Yeah.
Like when I'm able to go, and that's just me as a person, but
just love playing.
I just like it. So he's right. Take it with a grain of salt. You can do less, but just be prepared because it's not the cheapest, even to practice.
Right,
but events, that's where it gets interesting. There's some variance with events, and that's because the leagues that you play, how far you have to travel to each event, and if it's NXL versus it's a local league, that alone in itself is a crazy cost difference.
Okay, on the small side of things, if you're playing a local tournament, usually $150 to $200 is going to be plenty for the weekend when it comes to that, as far as your entry and your paint. Now, with that said, if you play out of state or whatever the case may be, then you also are going to have gas in there, food in there, as well as lodging in there, so it could be more. 300 might be more realistic. With that said, if you're playing a national event where you're flying and all that jazz,
renting a van for the group, like
$500 to $1,000,
because those entry costs are also just astronomically higher.
Now, with that said, there's only 4 to 5 events a year when it comes to the national side of things, the NXL. So it's not the end of the world. Like, you can definitely make it work if you manage your money properly.
You can even make it that you do just one national event, like the one big trip for the year.
Right. Most of the time, if you're just getting started, you're not going to play an XL right off the bat. You're going to play your regional league, and your regional league is going to be $200 to $300. Entry is going to cost you somewhere between probably 100 to 150, and the paint's going to be another 100, 150. And then lodging, usually most teams stay together, so you guys can, all be in the same Airbnb or Vrbo or hotel, and that's usually actually pretty cheap usually.
Oh yeah, the more bodies you stuff in one place. Now bring a sleeping bag and a bedroll because you might not get a mattress, but
yeah,
that's up to how your team rolls and how you can.
Some teams are more specific and they want their own beds. Some teams are like, hey, let's all get together and have a great time. So there is that portion of things. So different places that you may go.
Different places that you may go. I don't go.
This is the cool part. You go all over the place. So one of the cool things about playing competitive paintball, guys, is that you get to travel, and you get to travel all over the place, meet new people, go to different restaurants, go to different attractions, and all that stuff. So me personally, I know that I'm from Ohio. I've been to Indiana. I've been to Michigan. I've been to Kentucky, Tennessee, Georgia,
Texas,
Florida, Texas, Las Vegas,
Atlantic City, Philadelphia.
I haven't been to Atlantic City, but I have been to Philadelphia.
You never went to an AC event?
I never went to an AC event.
That's one that I've been to that he hasn't.
So you, Doug? Most of those?
All those states, and I included Texas because I've also been to Paintball Fit. So I haven't done an NXL in Texas, but I went to Paintball. It's a local field. It was a different league, but you can do. It's international too. Just so you guys know, the NXL Europe does exist. There's also NXL Malaysia. There's an MXL down in Mexico. Like this crosses borders. Like this game goes everywhere. I'm kind of surprised it's not in the Olympics yet. I'd love to see it one day, but yeah, it's wild. It is truly the places you will go and the friends you will make, and like like I said, I've genuinely been in at this point. I mean, a member of like 2 different weddings just because of paintball. So no, 3. Sorry, 3. I've been in 3 different weddings because of paintball. So like it's a lifestyle. It is a game. It's a sport, but it's a lifestyle more than anything. And the minute that starts to kind of grab onto you, you'll never give it up. You just won't.
With that said, regional events, probably 1 to 2 states away, but the national events, that's usually when you're hopping on a plane or you're driving longer distances, 5 to 10 hours to get there.
And really, the Mid-South Expo League, ours, is why I think we probably cover some of the most ground, like mileage-wise, because we go as far down as Tennessee from Ohio.
Correct.
So that's probably the longest you'll drive is that 6 to 7 hour range for a regional event, but that also depends how remotely you live. So that can influence your drive as well. I want to add in too, before we get into other parts of the video, very quickly. College paintball does exist, and that's actually how I got into playing the tournament scene. I played Scenario and Rec forever, which is a much easier way to get into paintball because you can just latch on to 20 other people that are all doing the same mission, and boom, you just made 20 friends. So that was where I started.
And if you go to Ohio State, guys,
we still have a team. We're running it.
There you go.
So yes, Ohio State has one. There's a whole league. Within PB leagues that we were talking about earlier, there is an NCPA division as well. So go ahead and find that. Read up on it. Feel free to comment that you want me to reach out to you. I will find a way to reach out to you if you want. But yeah, college is another way. College paintball is another way to get into it because I met the team, built my skill set, got good enough, then got picked up by punishers. It happens. But
there you go.
Anyway, moving on to the other parts of the video.
I think that's it.
Cool.
That's
Sweet.
it. That's separate notes there.
We covered it.
So there you guys have it. I hope this was really educational for you guys and provide some good content. If you guys have any questions for us, please reach out in the comments and we will try and reply to you with any questions, concerns that you guys might have if you're nervous or whatever the case may be. Stay tuned because we're going to be doing a bunch of other educational content when it comes to, what to expect on your first paintball tryout, all that kind of stuff. So thank you guys so much for watching. And Doug,
we'll catch you in the next one.
We nailed it, bro.
That's right, buddy.